Welcome. This is video 17 of the Assessing Risk of Significant Harm training course for child protection practitioners. This course looks specifically at the use of the Stage 2 risk assessment or Risk 2 format to assess risk of significant harm. Video 17 provides an explanation of how to complete sections 9 and 10 of the Stage 2 risk assessment. Actions and team managers' comments. Section 9 and 10 brings the risk assessment to a close. In Section 9, we identify the follow-up actions that have been identified during the assessment, and Section 10 closes the risk assessment with the comments of the team manager. In Section 9, there is a checklist of actions and further inquiries. This provides a record of the issues that have surfaced during the risk assessment that require action. In recording these, it ensures that they are not overlooked. These may be identified whether significant harm is identified or not. The first checkbox within Section 9 is to clarify actions necessary if significant harm is identified. It states, significant harm suspected, follow child protection procedures. There are several different circumstances where a Stage 2 risk assessment is completed. For example, if it is completed at the end of a Section 47 inquiry, you are already within the processes outlined in the child protection procedures. However, if undertaken in order to come to a decision about threshold for potential child protection actions, once significant harm is identified through your risk assessment, child protection procedures must be followed. If this is completed by social services, this usually involves arranging a strategy discussion to decide on the next steps. If this assessment is undertaken by other agencies, a child protection referral should be sent immediately to Children's Services. As Risk 2 is completed, several questions are asked. If you are uncertain about that area of family life, you may need to make further inquiries. Examples include other adults or children who may live at the address, more information about the family history, where the family have moved from, records, chronologies, or information from professionals from other agencies, or to check the records or chronologies from your own agency. As you progress through your risk assessment, you may also identify areas where you require more information about a particular aspect of the child's or family's life. For example, greater focus on areas of neglect or the impact of mental health on a parent's capacity or their capacity to change. Specialist assessment tools can be used to provide structure to your assessment of a very specific area. A series of specialist assessment tools were developed as part of the risk model, and professionals and agencies will have their own preferred tools. Specialist assessment tools can be used as part of your risk assessment or after the conclusion of the assessment as ongoing work is being undertaken. During your risk assessment, your main focus is to assess whether there is an indication of significant harm or likelihood in the future. However, you may also identify new needs that are not related to the child protection issues. These unmet needs should be incorporated into the child's care and support plan. In addition to the tick box, you can record what these needs are. Section 9 also records whether you have discussed the risk assessment directly with your supervisor or manager. The decision to discuss the assessments with a team manager or not will be determined by various factors. In some organisations, there will be an expectation that the risk assessment is always discussed with the manager, whilst in others, it is only done if the practitioner decides that there is a reason why this would be helpful. There is also a section to record the dates that the risk assessment will be repeated. This is optional and in many cases won't be necessary. The last section of RIS 2 is where the practitioner and manager sign and date the assessment as approved and completed. There is a place for the manager to record any comments about the risk assessment. Exercise 12. Follow-up actions. Exercise 12 provides you with an opportunity to use Section 9 of the risk assessment. From the Downloads page on the Practice Resource module, you will find a workbook to accompany this course. This exercise is in the workbook with instructions and the questions from Section 9 for you to complete. You can pause the video in order to fill in your workbook. When referring to any cases in your workbook, please do this anonymously, for example by using initials. Please consider the case example from your own practice. In your workbook, please complete Section 9.1 using your case example and the risk assessments that you have undertaken during this course. Please identify any follow-up actions that are required. You can pause the video in order to fill in your workbook. In your workbook, please complete Section 9.2. Please explain why these actions are necessary, the implications of the information. For example, this information may increase the concerns about likelihood of significant harm. You can pause the video in order to fill in your workbook. Once you have worked through video 17 of the Assessing Risk of Significant Harm course, please progress to the next part, which is video 18, Summary.